Your inability to say no is not a sign of a pure heart. It is a psychological trauma response masquerading as a moral virtue. Welcome to a hard truth that will change the way you interact with the world forever. From a young age, society conditions us to be agreeable. We are taught to be the peacekeepers, the ones who sacrifice our own comfort for others. We slap a label of kindness on this behavior, but if we peel back the layers, we find fear, the fear of rejection, conflict, and abandonment. True goodness requires a spine. It requires the absolute courage to hold your ground. If you are nice only because you are terrified, you are not truly good. You are simply harmless, and harmlessness is a form of weakness.
There is a profound difference between being a good person and being a nice person. Niceness is often an aesthetic, a social strategy designed to keep you safe and ensure people like you. But what happens when doing the right thing makes you unpopular? The chronically nice person crumbles. They will compromise their own values and mental health just to maintain the illusion of being agreeable. This is pathological compliance. It is an exhausting way to live, constantly managing the emotions of everyone around you while completely neglecting your own inner compass. To be truly good, you must possess the strength to disappoint people when necessary. You cannot be a force for good if you are terrified of being the bad guy in someone else's story.
To understand why we fall into this trap, we turn to Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung and his concept of the shadow. The shadow contains all the parts of ourselves that we have hidden away because society told us they were unacceptable. It holds our aggression, our selfishness, and our fierce desire for independence. When we are obsessed with being perfectly nice, we shove all these vital human traits deep into the unconscious. We lock the monster in the basement and pretend it does not exist. But whatever we repress does not disappear. It festers. True virtue requires us to unlock that basement, look our shadow in the eye, and integrate its raw power into our conscious life. The danger of repression is profound. When you suppress your shadow completely, you strip yourself of your most essential boundaries. Evolutionary psychology tells us that anger is the emotion specifically designed to alert us when an injustice has occurred. But the excessively nice person refuses to feel this anger. They swallow it. They let people take advantage of their time and drain their energy. Every time they smile and say yes when their soul screams no, a piece of their self-respect dies. This suppressed energy eventually erupts in chronic anxiety, deep depression, or psychosomatic illnesses. You think you are saving the world by being nice, but you are slowly destroying yourself from the inside out. What we are describing is pathological compliance. It is a state where yielding to others is an automatic reflex driven by terror, not a conscious choice made out of love. Imagine living your entire life as a passenger in a car you should be driving. Your career, relationships, and daily schedule are entirely dictated by the unmanaged expectations of others. If you cannot say no, your yes means absolutely nothing. A genuine act of kindness can only come from a place of freedom. If you are helping someone simply because you are too afraid to refuse, that is not charity. That is extortion. You are paying a toll of compliance just to avoid the momentary discomfort of setting a boundary. The most tragic consequence of the nice guy syndrome is the silent resentment that inevitably follows. You give endlessly, expecting the world to recognize your sacrifice and reward you with love and respect. But the world respects boundaries, not doormats. When your sacrifices go unnoticed, a bitter resentment takes root. You start to feel like a victim. You smile at people in public, but resent them in the quiet of your own mind. This resentment is the shadow seeking its revenge. It poisons your relationships. The tragedy is that the people you resent often have no idea because you never communicated your limits. You expected them to read your mind,
which is a deeply unfair dynamic born from your own fear.
Think about the difference between a rabbit and a trained martial artist. A rabbit is completely harmless. It cannot hurt you, but it is not moral for being harmless. It is simply incapable of doing damage. A trained martial artist possesses the capacity for immense violence, yet they choose to keep their sword sheathed. They choose peace. That is true virtue. Virtue requires the capacity for harm, coupled with the discipline not to use it. If you are only harmless because you are weak, you are just a rabbit hiding from wolves. To be truly good, you must recognize your own capacity for force and assertiveness. You must become capable of defending your boundaries. Only when you have teeth can you truly choose to smile.
The transformation begins with the most powerful word in the human language, no. Saying no is the ultimate act of self-definition. When you say no to something you do not want to do, you are simultaneously saying yes to yourself, your energy, and your values. At first, saying no will feel excruciating. If you have spent decades people-pleasing, setting a boundary will feel like you are doing something terribly wrong. You will fear that people will hate you, but you must push through this psychological withdrawal. The discomfort you feel is the weakness leaving your system. Start small. A simple, firm, and polite no is a complete sentence. Stand in the awkward silence and realize that the world did not end.
You must cultivate the courage to let people down. We are deeply social creatures wired to seek approval, but you cannot live an authentic life without eventually disappointing someone. Your family might be disappointed in your career choices. Your friends might be upset when you decline an invitation. Let them be disappointed. Their emotional reaction is not your responsibility to manage. As long as you act with integrity, you are not doing anything wrong by prioritizing your own path. By refusing to rescue people from their own disappointment, you are honoring their autonomy. You give them the space to manage their own feelings, and you free yourself from the exhausting prison of monitoring everyone else's emotional state.
Integrating your shadow is not about becoming cruel or malicious. It is about becoming whole. Reclaiming the lost fragments of your psyche changes everything. When you integrate your capacity for aggression, it transforms into assertiveness. When you integrate your selfishness, it becomes essential self-care. You stop being a fragmented, fragile shell and become a grounded, formidable presence. Think of the people you truly admire. They are rarely pushovers. They possess a calm but undeniable strength. They are warm and generous, but you know instantly they are not to be trifled with. They have integrated the monster. Their compassion is profound precisely because it is backed by strength. They give freely because they have the ultimate power to choose.
Moving from pathological compliance to authentic compassion changes the quality of your relationships. When you stop saying yes out of fear, the yeses you do give become incredibly valuable. Your generosity is no longer tainted by hidden resentment. When you help someone, you do it with a full heart, making you a genuinely safe person to be around. People eventually learn that your word is your bond. Authentic compassion is deeply rooted in truth. It allows you to love people as they are, while maintaining a fierce commitment to your own well-being. True kindness is not about bending over backwards until you break. It is about standing tall, side by side with the people you care about.
As you integrate your shadow and establish boundaries, you become an anchor. In a world full of chaotic, reactive people-pleasers, a grounded individual stands out like a beacon of stability. Because you no longer sway with every breeze of public opinion, people will actually start to trust you more. They will look to you in times of crisis because they know you are not easily manipulated. You become a leader in your own life. This stability is the ultimate manifestation of being truly good. You provide a solid foundation for yourself and everyone around you.
You are no longer a leaf blown about by the wind, but the deeply rooted tree that provides true shade and shelter.
The transition from nice to good is not an overnight event. It is a messy process of unlearning decades of conditioning. There will be friction. As you start setting boundaries, the individuals who benefited most from your lack of boundaries will be the ones most offended. They may accuse you of being selfish or cold. Let them. Their reaction is simply proof that the old, toxic dynamic is breaking down. Do not retreat into the familiar comfort of compliance. Trust the process. The parasitic relationships in your life will naturally fall away, making room for connections based on genuine mutual respect. You are pruning the dead branches of your social life so that healthy ones can grow. Embrace the discomfort.
Herein lies the great paradox of respect. The harder you try to make everyone like you by being endlessly agreeable, the less they will actually respect you. But the moment you start prioritizing your own values and risking their disapproval, their respect for you will skyrocket. People inherently value what is not easily conquered. When your time and energy are fiercely guarded behind strong boundaries, they become infinitely more valuable. People stop treating you like a disposable resource and start treating you like an equal. Respect is never given to those who constantly bow down. It is earned by those who stand up. When you stop apologizing for existing, society adjusts itself around you.
I challenge you today. Stop trying to be nice. Stop masking your fear of conflict as a moral virtue. Look into the dark basement of your psyche and invite the monster out for a walk. Acknowledge your anger, claim your space, and practice the revolutionary art of saying no. Disappoint people if you must. You are only responsible for your own integrity, not their emotional regulation. True goodness is a fierce, grounded, and powerful state of being. It requires the capacity for destruction, perfectly balanced by the conscious choice of compassion. Shed the exhausting skin of the people pleaser. Embrace your shadow, find your spine, and become truly, remarkably good.